um, so good morning. Good morning, Keller Williams. I am Paul Leibowitz with Westport Mortgage, where we are always helping realtors sell and helping buyers buy. So what a weekend it was. And I'm not talking about Sunday's weather, that's for sure. But I am talking about the amazing pre-qualification calls that we got all weekend. And there were a lot of them. The discussions were very interesting. So a lot of buyers are asking us, what happens when we go over asking, or what happens when we drop the appraisal contingency? And so we were very busy all weekend, burning the calculator, spinning the math, showing them the difference, and talking about what happens. Um, Look, buyers are getting the reality that this is going to be, in some cases, what it's going to take to buy that house. So number one, you guys are doing a good job of educating them, but also the fact that they're calling us to go through the motions and find out how much more is it per month, or what happens if the place doesn't appraise. I mean, these are all really important discussions, and they are part of our landscape today. So we love having those conversations with the buyer. Now, also, I don't know if you caught it, but the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell was on 60 Minutes over the weekend. And if you know, the Fed is known as our regulator of our economy. You know what they do. They control our money supply, and all importantly, they set interest rates. Well, one of the things he said was that America today, the American economy, is at an inflection point. It's a place where he predicts that the economy is about to start growing more quickly. Well, I was thrilled to hear that. He forecasted that the growth this year, 2021, could be between 6 and 7%. Now, that would be the highest growth rate in the US economy in America in over 30 years. Now, he's not expecting a recovery so much as he's expecting a boom. Now, for me and all of us in the mortgage business, and for all of our clients, the important thing that Chairman Powell said was regarding interest rates. He said that the Fed has updated their model. Now, when I first got into this business, the Fed used to set interest rates according to what they thought was going to happen 18 months from now. They had a crystal ball, and they would look ahead, and they would say, well, we see inflation coming a year and a half from now, so we're going to start raising rates now. Chairman Powell said he's not going to do that anymore. In fact, he's basically said that the Fed is committed to waiting till inflation actually shows, till they actually see it. And not only that, but he said that their target of 2%, he thinks that might be a little light. He could go all the way to 3% before he says he has to pull the trigger on higher interest rates. Now, why is that important? It's important because as the economy picks up, which we also are seeing, it's going to take 6 to 8 months for it to pick up. It's going to go all the way through 2021, all the way into 2022 before the Fed even thinks about changing interest rates to higher. So all of that is really good news, and all of that impacts what the buyers will be paying for their mortgages. Now, last but not least, when COVID hit in 2020, Fannie, Freddie, and FHA, they all really tightened up, and they got pretty strict on all kinds of things: asset verifications, debt to income, credit scores. They really wanted to be sure who they were lending to. A lot of those COVID restrictions have now finally come out of the lending market and the lending overlays. So now we get a little more breathing room when it comes to debt to income, a little bit lower credit scores, and they're able to borrow. And so here we have an incredible intersection of economy starting to go, Fed looking to nice and relaxed on interest rates, Fannie, Freddie, and FHA, they're ready to lend again. So I think it's an amazing time for the buyer. And make sure you pass that good news on to everybody who's out there looking to buy. And send them to Westport Mortgage, because we are your mortgage partner since 2007. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Paul. Great news. Yes, I saw that 60 Minutes piece last night and was doing a little happy dance. Woohoo! Right, great news from Chairman Powell.
Love the happy dance.
Indeed, indeed. All right, so a couple of quick announcements for you this morning. We'll dive into our fourth and final Money Monday. I've so enjoyed our Money Mondays. What will we do moving forward without Money Mondays? We'll have to figure it out. So a couple of quick announcements. Today, calendar reminders, 11 o'clock, we do have the rescheduled Know Your Numbers session. So if you are interested in, a bunch of you had asked, how do you pull stats, Rick? What do you, when you present those stats, where are you getting them from? What stats are you pulling to have a discussion with a seller around reducing the price of their property? Those kinds of things. If you're interested in where I'm getting those stats and what best practices are around using stats to help buyers and sellers make decisions, as well as pulling things for marketing purposes, 11 o'clock today, I will run through anything and everything that you'd like me to run through in terms of pulling those stats. And then at 1 o'clock today, we have a session called Writing and Presenting Offers. Not to be confused with what we did last week, which was getting your buyer's offers accepted. This today is really the nuts and bolts, the 101 version of how do you write an offer? If you've never done it, if you haven't done it in a while, what are the forms? How do you fill out those forms? And how do you get that offer presented to the listing agent? So that's at 1 o'clock today. Join me if that is something specific that you could use some assistance with.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, sir.
You want to change to speaker view? I think I'm dominating the frame here.
Oh, look at that. I still have Paul pinned. Well, you know, we cannot get enough of you, Mr. Leibowitz. So
that's what my mother says, Rick.
Well, do call 1-800-FLOWERS for Mother's Day, because we had a whole reason. Well, anyway, so the last two announcements I have for you are reminders. A reminder that we do have Wednesday at 1 o'clock, and then a week from this Thursday at 6 o'clock are 2 risk reduction sessions. So everybody within the sound of my voice needs to find a way to be on one of those 2 sessions, from 1 to 3 this Wednesday, or from 6 to 8 on Thursday the 22nd. It is our one required session that we produce all year. I promise you that it will be useful. I promise you that we will keep it quick. We will get you out in 2 hours. It is a 2-hour session, 1 to 3 or 6 to 8, either this Wednesday the 14th or next Thursday the 22nd. So do make sure that that's in your calendar. And then the last reminder I have for you is our incentive program that's going on right now. Incentives weekly. So when I'm back here on Wednesday morning, we will pull our first $100 winner for the last week of insurance referrals, and our $100 cash cold hard cash winner for the last week's worth of listings upload and document management submissions. So if you have not gone ahead and done any of those yet, you still have today and tomorrow to get yourself positioned to walk away with cash on Wednesday morning. Just a quick show of hands. How many of you sold a house in the last 4 or 5 days? Put an offer together, right? So that's a whole bunch of people raising their hands. My question to you is, now that you have an accepted offer, have you delivered that golden email with that particular person to Sue Ringer at Safeguard Insurance? If you haven't, there's no reason not to do that. So when you finish with this call today, go ahead and push that information off to Sue Ringer so that she can take care of them on the homeowners insurance side, and you get an entry into this week's incentive program. And then the second question I have is, if you've sold a house in the last 3 or 4 days, have you gone ahead and pushed that documentation into our concierge services system so that we can go ahead and upload that information and those documents into Command on your behalf? If you haven't done that, as soon as you finish pushing that referral to Sue Ringer at Safeguard, go ahead and get that information into our concierge system so that we can get it uploaded for you. Don't take the time yourself. Let us handle that on your behalf, as well as get you entered into a cash incentive for Wednesday. Again, so still time. Don't leave these things out. Just create a new system, right? make sure that when you have a new home sold, you have these things right in your checklists so that you're not forgetting them, because they are benefits to you. They are benefits to your clients. We want to make sure that everyone's taking advantage to the fullest extent. All righty. Let's dive into Money Monday. So Money Monday this week, as promised, is net worth and personal balance sheets. So we're not spending a ton of time on this. This is not a PhD session in financial planning. However, what it is a conversation around why tracking one's net worth and utilizing a personal balance sheet is so important. I will tell you that I learned this from Gary in this book, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. If you've ever read this book, you know the first third of this book has nothing to do with investing in real estate. It has to do with money management, right? Money management. So therefore, I encourage you all to grab a copy of this book and read the first third, even if you have no intention of ever buying an investment property, because the first third talks about how to manage money and work with money and have an understanding and education in how money works. And a big part of that is tracking one's net worth. What is one's net worth, you may ask? Well, it's a simple calculation based on all of your assets minus all of your liabilities. Your net worth is just that, your assets minus your liabilities. Your assets are things like cash that you have, equity in the property that you own, right? Or the value of any properties that you own, stocks, bonds, any kind of expensive jewelry, your cars. All of those things are assets, right? That if all of a sudden you needed cash tomorrow, you could go and sell and someone would give you $1 or more for. That's your assets. Your liabilities are things that you owe. Your liabilities are things like mortgages on the properties that you own. Credit card debt, any kind of debt is also a liability. If you've taken a loan from a friend or a family member, that's a liability, right? All of those things end up on the liability side. And so when you take all of the value of all of your assets and you subtract out the value of all of your liabilities, what's left is your net worth. I'm going to show you a quick net worth tracker in a minute, and I will proactively thank Kimberly Tapscott for reminding me about Ben's, because I was going to show you a different one, and Kimberly this morning reminded me about Ben Kinney's tracker, which I actually like a lot. And so I'm going to show you Ben's because it's nice and simple, and it gives you a cool graph. So, however, before we get there, a reminder about why this is so important, right? Understanding your net worth gives you a picture of your overall financial health in a way that nothing else really does, right? It is a far more important measure than your income. Too many people focus on how much am I making? Too many people focus on growing their income. Well, earning and having income is important. However, keeping that income is even more important. And when you track your net worth, you're actually tracking what you're keeping, not what you're earning. Do you see the difference there? Using your net worth as a measure, it emphasizes the importance of assets and investments versus just your income, right? Because at some point, your income, you need to turn that income into something. And so when you start to buy assets and make investments, and then now your money is making you money while you're out making additional money over here, you see how it starts to feed itself. Using a net worth tracker provides you a motivation to eliminate debt. Guys, I have 17 mortgages, right? And if I didn't pay close attention to my net worth, having 17 mortgages, I think would make me like a crazy person. Instead, it makes me so excited because every month that I pay all those mortgages for all those properties, I go back and update my net worth sheet. And guess what? When you make a mortgage payment, what happens to your net worth? It goes up because you owe less money. It's so exciting. So if you don't like writing the mortgage payment check, I want you to take a slightly different pivot mindset on that and start to really get excited every time you make a payment. I'll tell you what that does for me is it allows me to round all those payments up. I make extra payments on all those suckers every single month because I want so badly for that liability to go down and eventually away. So it just changes your outlook on eliminating debt and results in you using money better, right? If you have an extra $100, you could go and buy a new set of clothes or whatnot, or blow it on whatever, or you could pay down a mortgage. I start thinking differently about how I spend my money because I know how it affects my net worth, and I want that net worth to continue to rise, right? It shows you the true impact of your financial decisions, and it can help you if in fact you don't earn enough money and you're looking for a loan. If you have a higher net worth and you can show the bank that you are sophisticated enough to track your net worth, it has people making loans look at you differently than just someone who says, here's my tax return, right? So it's another tool that you can use to help yourself grow. And of course, it makes it really easy to track your progress over time. And here's what I mean by that. My last bit with you this morning is I want to show you Ben's tracker. Now, if you go to winmakegive.com/wealth, I'll show you that in a second, winmakegive.com/wealth, you can download Ben Kinney's net worth tracker. Very, very simple, right? And what's cool about Ben's is that he actually builds it out 12 months at a time so that you can start in January or start today and just go month by month by month for a 12-month running period of time and track the changes, right? And I just filled the first 5 months out just with a couple of things, but you can see what we're talking about here. It's breaking down where you keep cash. It's then breaking down where you might have some investments, right? Securities, T-bills, any kind of 401k or SEP that you might have, stocks. It goes through your property, right? Including real estate, your cars, any gold or silver or anything like that, you know, because I know so many of you are into bullion. Any expensive jewelry or art that you might have, any collectibles, some of you have collectibles, and then it goes through value of businesses, and then any other kind of loans that you may have made, right? So notes or accounts receivable. And that brings you to this asset line of, if I added all my stuff up or sold it all tomorrow, what would I be left with? And then scrolling down, you have your list of liabilities. Do you have auto loans? Is there credit card debt? Do you have real estate mortgages? Are there student loans? Do you have unpaid taxes? Any money you owe to other people? Any other type stuff, right? How are you tracking all of that? And so when you start to put all that in place, you have your assets up here, you have your liability line here, and when you subtract the two, your net worth, again, is your assets minus your liabilities. And when you use Ben's cool tool, what you get at the bottom here is a little tracking chart, right? Which kind of shows you the blue is the assets, the red is the liabilities, and that black line here is a moving target of your net worth, right? And so it's going up and it fluctuates, right? And you want to make sure that that line over time is on a steady upward spin. So again, winmakegive.com/wealth. Actually, let me show you what that looks like. Adonis, are you now seeing the WinMakeGive page? Yes. So WinMakeGive /wealth brings you here. And if you just scroll down, sorry, it actually brings you here. It actually brings you here. And so when you scroll down, the Wealth Series lessons, just go to part 2, a financial reality check. And then when you scroll down again, you have right here the basic net worth tracker and the advanced net worth tracker. If you've never done this before, just start with the basic net worth tracker. Don't make this harder than it has to. Just break it down into the categories I just outlined for you. If you really want to make it difficult, go to the advanced net worth tracker. There's just 77 other different lines that you can fill in if you really want to get specific about stuff, right? Any questions, comments, concerns on net worth? Go ahead, pop them in the chat. And if I Oh, thank you, Ryan, for putting that in there. I appreciate that. Yeah, so the idea of tracking your net worth is truly an opportunity for you to get a handle on your finances. My closing comment to you this morning is this. I had someone about a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, say to me, I don't want to track, I don't want to do that because I already know it's negative. I already know that the answer is like a total disaster. And I encourage this person to go ahead and do that anyway, right? If your net worth is negative, and there will be some people on this call who have a negative net worth, don't feel judged by that. Feel empowered by it, right? Understand where you're starting and know where you want to go. And so if you have a negative net worth like this person did, said, great, so now you know what it takes to get to zero. Because if you have a negative net worth, if your liabilities outweigh your assets, you know the work you have to do to get to zero. Once you're at zero, guess what? You just keep doing that same work and now you're on the positive side. And this same person a year later came back to me and said, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I'm really excited. My net worth is now zero. And they were truly and honestly excited about that net worth being zero. Why? Because a year earlier, it was like negative $200,000. And so that is progress in the right direction to now continue to do those things that erased the negative to bring them to zero, that you can now use. So a year from now, you're at plus 200,000, plus 500,000, plus $1 million, whatever that number is, right? So here's how I'll leave you today. If you've never calculated your net worth using a personal balance sheet, your homework between now and Wednesday morning is to go ahead and just get it done. Again, don't make it hard. It's a simple operation. You just have to get your arms around where all your money sits, right?
Look at your crazy one.
Where all your money sits. And then set a target for what that's going to look like 12 months from now. I want you to start working off of net worth goals instead of just income goals. Let's start building a bigger financial foundation so that you're not only worried about how much you're making, but how much you're keeping and utilizing to purchase assets that grow that net worth. Guys, I hope this was a helpful, short little insight into net worth this morning. I wish you a spectacular day. I'll see you either at 11 or 1, or we'll see you at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Don't forget Risk Reduction Wednesday, 1 o'clock. See you later. Take care.